Hello guys, and welcome to my review of The Taken Land, Riro Te Whenua by Robin O'Reilly. This is a Maori themes book and it was published last year in 2012. It was published. So before we start, we'll have a quick look at the cover. You can see The Taken Land there, nice block lettering, Riro Te Whenua underneath. Here's Robin O'Reilly in the bottom right hand corner there. And it's got a nice watermark in the background that shows part of a waterfall, which is significant to the story. On the spine here, you've got the title again at the top, then a nice clear picture of the waterfall, then the author down the bottom. And then on the back, you've got the genre in the top left-hand corner there, which is thriller in this book. The title again at the top, and then the blurb underneath. So this story starts with chapter 1. Well, that's going to be obvious, isn't it? You're not going to start with chapter 7, are you? Anyway, so this book is about a couple living in South Auckland, Manny and Joe. They have good jobs, looking forward to a promising future together until everything starts to go wrong. And it all starts with the death of one of Joe's closest friends, Jackie, who is murdered by her husband, who has also just raped his 15-year-old daughter, Liana. And Liana proceeded to reward him with a smack around the head with a metal iron thing that you poke fires with, which inevitably killed him. And then other things start to go wrong, like Manny loses his job because he's made redundant. They can't afford the rent, so they have to take in boarders and stuff. And then so does their other friends, right? Some friends, Narangi and Marlene, they have to take in boarders as well to make out the rent on their house. And then when Narangi refuses to join a local South Auckland gang, they then turn up on his front doorstep with their guns and proceed to petrol bomb his house. So then they end up with nowhere to live, and then things goes on. So Manny seizes the opportunity and decides that they're all going to go. Manny, Joe, and Liana, and Narangi and Marlene, and all of their boarders are going to go to the Tongariro National Park. They're going to live in the Tongariro National Park, up a mountain in a clearing called Pakaka, which is where the waterfall is. And then they're going to live there in huts, just away from everyone else, and live their perfect life. Here I have a list of 5 things that I want to point out. Alex's 5 things. First one, foreshadowing. There wasn't really that much foreshadowing in the book, to be honest. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you know, foreshadowing's always nice. There was that chapter 1, which was set in 1814, which sets up the whole idea of Manny's ancestor being killed by the ancestor of John and Mohia, a New Zealand SAS soldier, because Manny's ancestor does not want to sell the land, but everyone else does. And then Manny then confronts John and Mohia in a pub. Well, not confronts, but comes across him, and then ends up causing a fight. The setup and the plot twist was awesome. Yeah, and very rare for a thriller too. Yeah, that's right. Most thrillers have a sort of sci-fi feel to them, with a sort of monsters and aliens type thing, and unrealistic. This is a much more realistic story with stuff that would mostly could happen. You know, somebody living illegally off the land, soldiers, gunfights, all that sort of stuff, which I think is much better than science fiction type thriller rubbish that you get these days. Also, plot twist. There was no actual villain in this story like you get with most thrillers. No. The main character, Manny, is the main villain of the story, because they're living off the land illegally. When they're discovered, Manny decides to shoot the people who have discovered them, so that they can't escape and tell the police. This results in one of the men accidentally knocking over Jo as they go past. She falls and breaks her neck and ends up dying. And Manny just lost it. And then, especially after Liana committed suicide and hung herself, he just lost it, and he just went as this totally raging monster who wanted to get revenge on these people for what they'd done, for the death of Jo, and on Jon and Mohia for what happened over 100 years ago. In fact, nearly 200 years ago, in fact. And he wants the revenge, and he is willing to put a bullet through the brains of anybody who stands in his way. The story did take too long to get good. I feel that almost the first half of the book wasn't thriller at all, which leads to the lack of description, which is the one thing that lets this story down so badly. Thrillers need lots of description in order for you to really get the feel of the book, to get the heart pumping. This book doesn't do that. To me, it's just reading a book to me. It doesn't get my heart pumping. I'm not scared for any of the characters. I mean, sure, I'm curious to find out what happens next, obviously, because it is still a very hooking and interesting book in that way. But it just doesn't have the description to get your heart pumping in a sort of thriller way. Also, there were too many characters which contributed to that, because there were just so many characters that you couldn't focus on any main characters individually. Nor also the characters were spending so much time being split up that there just wasn't enough time also to focus on what each individual party was doing, which is what led to the helicopter incident, which was ridiculous, because these guys who had only fired a rifle twice in their entire lives were somehow able to use them to shoot down an SAS helicopter when it was hovering 200 meters in the air. I mean, they would have been scared out of their minds, and to have good enough aim to shoot it down, and enough courage is beyond. And I mean, that scene was so poorly written that it just seems so impossible and just so unrealistic, and at this point I'm just thinking, get real. This is never going to happen in real life. Not with pokey little hunting rifles with men who've only ever fired 2 shots in all their lives in this situation. Had there been better or more description, then the scene could have worked, but it just didn't. And so, have I left anything out? No, I haven't. And that is, again, part of the lack of description thing, which just really lets this story down, as well as the lack of foreshadowing, the too many characters, and the fact that it just took too long to get going, and all of that, which led to the ridiculous helicopter scene. And that's why I'm going to give this book a score 6 out of 10, because it is a good enough book that will hook you on and get you interested, but the book itself is just not well written enough. It's got too long a beginning, too many characters, and it's just got a ridiculous helicopter scene in it, and yeah, there's just not enough description in the story to make it feel like real thriller. I mean, I know what you think. You may be thinking, oh yeah, but books aren't supposed to do that. That's films. No. Just because it's a book doesn't mean it should be able to get away with not getting your heart pumping. I mean, so to be honest, I feel that this book is a nice book, interesting story, but it's just not quite up to standard. So I hope that you have enjoyed my review of of The Taken Land, Rira Te Whenua by Robin O'Reilly. And that concludes my review.